Hi, okay, we're ready to get started. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here today teaching you about keeping our heart healthy through nutrition. So today, my goal is that when you leave here, that you will be educated on the health crisis that's going on in America today, and that I will equip you and you'll be able to leave here with some tools to make a healthier choice at the grocery store and just throughout our living, every day. So I like a little bit of participation. If for anybody that wants to participate, that would be awesome. I love to ask questions throughout this. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. And I want to find out from all of you one thing in this room. For anybody that's listening, if you could just raise your hand if you or anybody that you know in your family, or it could be your friends, that has been affected by heart disease, cancer, or diabetes. Can you raise your hand? Okay, usually it is the entire room. Okay, so I asked that question because those are the 3 top killers in America today. It's cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. And just to give you a little story about myself, those are my 2 little girls up there, Reagan and Riley. They're 8 and 5 now, and that's my husband, Brett. And I actually am a cancer survivor. I found out that I had stage 3 melanoma cancer when I was pregnant with my first child in my first trimester. So, as you can imagine, as a 26-year-old woman back then, I was very scared, and I have learned since then how to build health in my own body so that that cancer does not return, and also to teach others. Because building health in our body is a foundation that we need in order to live a healthy life. And also, I'm an advocate for childhood obesity and the health crisis going on in America, because would you all agree, the ones that are going to participate, that we are in a health crisis going on in America right now? We're in a global obesity crisis. So we want to find out what is going to help us combat this and live healthier lives, right? So one of my favorite quotes is by Alexander the Great's physician. When health is absent, wisdom cannot reveal itself, art cannot manifest, strength cannot fight, wealth becomes useless, and intelligence cannot be applied. Wouldn't you agree that without our health, we really have nothing? If we don't have our health, we cannot do what we were put on this earth to do. We cannot become doctors. We cannot do the things that we were just created to do in this life, and we cannot have the best academics and athletics, and I really, really feel that if we don't have our health, we have nothing. So we're going to talk about some hard, tough facts, the sad facts of America right now, and it's the standard American diet reality that's going on. 61% of American adults are overweight, and 86 projected by 2030. And these statistics are from the World Health Organization. I mean, we're talking about the CDC. These are facts going on. 36% of Americans, so 50 million people, are obese, and 42 projected by 2030. Those are some hard, tough things to look at, but those are the facts that are going on. Also, in the past 20 years, overweight children ages 6 to 11 have doubled in the United States, and adolescents overweight has tripled. So I believe that if we don't understand what's going on in America and we don't understand these facts, then it's a lot harder to change and make better choices. Would you agree? So where do we rank in this health crisis, this global obesity crisis? And I'm going to bring home where the global obesity crisis and the health crisis tie in. So the heart disease, the diabetes, and the cancer that's going on, it's all related, okay? And so we are the leaders in the globesity epidemic. The red color shows that adults, between the 30 and 40% of the adults or people are obese in the red. And so as you can see, the entire United States is covered in red. So pretty tough to look at something like that. Also, how much is our healthcare costing us? Healthcare expenditures in the United States neared $2.6 trillion in 2010, over 10 times the amount that were spent in 1980. So we're spending the most on healthcare, and we are one of the most sick and diseased countries. So wouldn't you agree that we've got to make some changes, right? So let me explain how this all has an effect, the cause and effect, going back to the cancer, diabetes, and heart disease, how it's all interrelated. For example, obesity doubles your risk of heart failure and triples your risk in breast cancer in women. Also, a 22-pound weight gain, which is the average middle-age weight gain, increases heart attack risk by 75%. And a 15-pound weight gain doubles your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So again, bringing it all together, how obesity and the health crisis, how it's all intertwined with all of these things going on. So this is the good stuff that I love to talk about, how the good choices that we can start to make to turn our health around. Foods were intended to be healing to our bodies. They were intended to be medicine, believe it or not, to our bodies. And you know, foods also can be harmful to our bodies, and that's kind of what's happened over the last 10, 20 years, is that our foods have become harmful. So we need to know what those foods are so that we can try to make better choices, one little choice at a time. It's a process, right? And so I'm hoping that I can share some tips that will help you make better choices, and just we can all start to make simple changes every day that can really make a difference. I do want to ask somebody a question too, if somebody's willing to shout out an answer of what you think a strawberry milkshake should have in it. Strawberries, okay, and milk. What else? Sugar, especially if it's at a fast food restaurant. I mean, maybe an ice cream, right? Anything else? No? Okay, you ready for this one? I'm sorry, I'm almost done with the scary stuff, okay? In a strawberry milkshake from Burger King, and again, you can get this off their website, there is about 68 chemicals. All of those ingredients are chemicals that we can't even pronounce. Somebody knows, a scientist in a lab, knows what we think a strawberry milkshake should taste like. So 68 chemicals later, we have a strawberry milkshake from Burger King, and there's no strawberries in this strawberry milkshake. It tastes like a strawberry milkshake, but there is no strawberries in this milkshake. And so again, I'm not picking on Burger King because I guarantee you can find the same thing at several other fast food restaurants. But what I will say is there's nothing wrong with having a real strawberry milkshake from real strawberries, right? And real milk that's good, you know, that does not have hormones or antibiotics in it. But when you're talking about a strawberry milkshake from Burger King that has, you know, that many chemicals in it, and we're feeding these, you know, to our children and ourselves, and we don't know what's in it, it's something that's really having a major impact on the health crisis. Would you agree? And it makes you angry probably too, because we should be able to go to grocery stores and restaurants and be able to trust the stuff that we're getting. And so that's why it's just really good to be aware of what's going on and what's in our foods. And again, you can find this on the Burger King website. So how do we live a healthy life at our optimal potential? One of the best things you can do is start to eat more of a clean, whole food diet. Go back to the way we were designed to eat and live. I know in this world, in this society, I know we're a society of grab and go eaters. I know it's difficult, but if we just start to make little changes, one food item at a time, one thing at a time, it becomes more simple. And just going back to foods that we were intended to eat, foods that are clean and clear of chemicals. Also, just to help you when you're trying to do that, our cells do regenerate every single day by the foods that we eat. So the good news is that our cells regenerate every single day by the foods we eat. So we don't have to beat ourselves up about what we did yesterday, right? It's over, we did it. But what we start doing today and tomorrow and next week, our cells and our body regenerates from that food. So just make better choices. And again, one thing at a time, baby steps sometimes for people, but that's what it takes, okay? And so also, if you look at food as like live foods versus processed foods, live foods are foods that really feed our cells and help us to build a healthy life. And processed foods actually are pretty much dead foods. They do not have any nutritional value in them if they've been completely processed with chemicals. You know, there's a certain degree of foods when I'm talking about that, but you have to think about that food. If it has a very long shelf life, think about what that's doing to the inside of your body. And I always use a plant analogy as an example. So, you know, if you've got a plant out in sun that has proper soil, right? And it's getting fed the sunlight and it's getting fed the proper soil, it's gonna have strong roots, okay? And if a hailstorm comes along, that plant might get knocked down, but it's gonna pop back up because it had the strong roots, right? Would you agree? It's the same thing. And think about if you had a plant that was in the dark with not proper soil at all, okay, and it was really frail, and a hailstorm came along, it would throw that plant on the other side of the, you know, garden, and you'd never see it again. But it's the same with us. If we're constantly building health in our bodies, when sickness and disease comes along, we can fight that off so much stronger. The doctors told me that I absolutely would have had cancer come back in my body because I was so young and the stage that it was at. And it's been almost 9 years and my blood work is better than it's ever been. Thank you. Thank you, but that's why, and I can tell you, I have friends, I have clients, I have so many people that I can tell you that have reversed disease naturally through whole foods and through changing their lifestyle and changing their diet. And so I believe that we can really do this and we can come together as a nation and start to change this health crisis and turn it around. So here's some tips to tackle the grocery store. You want to make sure that you plan ahead for success. So you want to make sure that you actually make sure that you go with your list in hand and don't deviate. So really take some time to write a good grocery list down. And for any of you that want help with the healthy grocery shopping list, afterwards or at any time, if you go, I have a table over there. If you write down your email address, I would be happy to send you one of my free gifts, which would be a healthy grocery shopping list, as well as several other things defined as far as healthy living and talking about breads and dairy and all of those hot topics that are out there right now. Also, you want to shop the perimeter of the store. So mostly, you know, the whole foods and the real foods are usually on the perimeter of the store, and the more inside in the middle that you get, you're getting closer to the processed food. So that's a tip for you to help you with that. And then whole food, real food, raw food, and fresh food first. Those are your best ways that you're going to start implementing a healthier diet into your life if you go whole, real, raw, and fresh first, okay? And then you want to shop on a full stomach. I will be the first one to admit, even though I know all of this, and even though I live like this and I try, if I go to the grocery store and I'm hungry, you better watch out for the cookies or whatever's around, because I will grab things that I normally would not grab. So I always suggest to go to the grocery store on a full stomach. And then read your ingredients. That's one of the biggest things that we have been very misinformed by. We need to know what is in the product, not necessarily what the front of the box is telling us. It can be very deceiving. And counting calories is not always the best way to find out if the product is healthy or not healthy. So you want to make sure you're reading your ingredients and you know what those calories, fat, carbs, and proteins are made of. Not necessarily how many are in there, okay? And we'll go through detail on that. I wanted first to find 4 healthy food terms that you may or may not have heard of. Superfoods, GMOs, organic, and the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 list. Can I have a show of hands for anybody that's familiar with these terms at all? Okay, good, not a lot, so good. Okay, superfoods. Superfoods are awesome. They're great for us. They're actually nutrient-dense whole foods. They have a high concentration of phytonutrients, and they actually help nourish us at a cellular level. So there's so many superfoods out there. I have tons on my website, or if you can always email me, I'd be happy to give you a huge list. But some of my favorites, here's a list of my favorites: garlic, blueberries, flax seeds, avocado, dark chocolate, pistachio. There's so many great superfoods out there that we can really enjoy, and you can put them into recipes and you know that you're getting something extra, and I promise you, you'll feel a difference. What is GMOs? Okay, this is a tough topic for me because it's very frustrating to me what's going on in America with GMOs right now. But GMOs are genetically modified organisms that are experimental plants or animals that have been genetically engineered in a laboratory with DNA from other plants, animals, bacteria, and viruses. This is what bothers me. 50 countries, including France, Germany, and Italy, have banned or restricted GMOs, while the US doesn't even require labeling. The other thing that's a little frustrating for me is that there's other countries that demand that certain brands that we're using in the United States, that they do not have GMOs, that they do not have dyes, artificial colors, sweeteners, high fructose corn syrup. So the same companies that are making things for us here are doing it better in other countries because they're demanding it. Let me give you an example. A Nutri-Grain blueberry bar, it says fresh fruit on the front, or real fruit, I think. If you go and you look at the ingredients, there's tons of ingredients in that product. And this is just one of so many, but there is not any real fruit in that product. There's dyes, there's chemicals, and there's high fructose corn syrup. That same exact brand is being made with that same exact bar in other countries like the UK, for example. And they have removed that stuff and they've added real fruit in that same thing, that same package, because they demand it. So that's why the education on this is so important, because if we stop buying those products and we start to demand it more as a country, they'll do that for us too. But if we don't know about it, how can we do that, right? So that's one of the things that's just super important to know. What is organic? It prohibits the use of chemicals and fertilizers. Also, if you buy organic, you know that there's no GMO. And, you know, I know that organic can be more expensive, but I will say at least you know it's a safer product when you buy organic. And I will say that more stores, you know, Walmart, Target, other stores are really trying to implement more organic or just more products that don't have those bad things in them. So again, the more we demand it, and I'll go over a list of other places that you can find better foods for lower costs, because that's really important, I know. Also, the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So the Environmental Working Group every year puts out a list of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. It's the most heaviest sprayed in pesticides, fruits and vegetables, and the lowest sprayed. So the ones that are the lowest sprayed in pesticides, you can afford to maybe not buy organic if you're looking to save money. And the list that is the Dirty Dozen, you want to make sure that you're always buying organic. And again, this is part of a gift that I'll send you. If you do sign up and give me your email address, I'll send you a healthy grocery shopping list, but I'll also send you this list as well. So, or if you want me to email you anything, just let me know. But this is a really important list to go by if you're trying to save money and figure out, what do I buy organic, what do I not buy organic? So going back to reading labels and just the marketing that has gone on, this is something that we really have to be aware of, because if anybody remembers the SnackWell fat-free, sugar-free craze, right? You know, I like, you know, hands. So am I the only one that had like 5 boxes of SnackWells at one sitting? Because we thought it was fat-free, right? We can eat as many as we want, right? So that fat-free, sugar-free craze is a big part of what has caused this global obesity epidemic. And it's because when it said fat-free, sugar-free, they actually replaced that with chemicals and high fructose corn syrup and all of these other things that actually caused us to gain weight. Okay, and you know, I get mad at myself because when I look back and think that I actually believed by eating 4 boxes of fat-free SnackWells was actually not going to add any fat on me, it's kind of crazy, but we all went through that. And you know, there still is a lot of miscommunication out there on labeling when it says natural or low sugar or fat-free or sugar-free. It's very confusing, right? And so I see you guys nodding your heads, so I know you're probably, you know, just like I was and just like so many people are, just confused. And so the biggest thing I can say is if you turn it over The ingredients never lie, right? Well, sometimes they might lie, but you can find out what is inside that. So don't look at just the front that says fat-free, sugar-free, fewer calories. We really want to look at the ingredients. So if you can leave with one thing today, is really turning that box or that can or whatever over and looking at the ingredients that make up what they're saying on the front that it is. So some more tips for reading ingredient labels. The ingredients listed in order, they're usually listed in order of their proportion. So you want to make sure that those first few items are definitely not something that you should be afraid to put into your body or your children's body. And also, if you can't pronounce it, don't buy it. It's not always the case necessarily that it's maybe harmful for you, but if you really can't pronounce it and you see long ingredients that look like chemicals, I would just try not to purchase it and try something else. Sprouted or raw are always the higher quality foods. And then watch out for unrealistic serving sizes. That's another way that we've kind of get away with, like they can say zero, they can say trans fat free because they've changed the portion sizes. So like in a bag of potato chips that maybe before would say there was 4 servings, now they'll say there's 12 servings and trans fat free because they don't have to put the amount, if it's under a certain percentage of trans fat, they can say it's trans fat free. Does that make sense? So we have to really watch out for those serving sizes, and you'll see if you go look for that now how many things have changed that you probably didn't realize that used to say 4 to 6 servings that say 12 to 15 now. So that's a really big deal. Also, tools for understanding labels. I don't know, most people have smartphones, and I don't know if you know about the Fujicate app. It's Fujicate, so Fujicate, and if you download that app, it's free, and you just scan the barcode of the food. It'll give you a rating, and it'll tell you why it's good, why it's not, what's in it. It gives you a rating. It's really helpful. Also, I always tell people to use Google. You can always Google an ingredient and find out what it is too. And I also have, for those of you that don't have smartphones or just want extra tips, I do have a grocery helper keychain that goes through each item, each segment of like dairy, breads, fruits, vegetables, and I really try to help you figure out what to ask for, what to look for. And it's just a keychain. Again, I have it over at a table over there if you want to look at it. I'd be happy to send anybody one if you sign up. So.